My name's Ryan. I'm 28 years old, and if you'd asked me a month ago, I would have confidently told you my family was at worst your typical brand of mildly dysfunctional. You know, the usual backhanded compliments at Thanksgiving, a little passive-aggressive tension sprinkled in for flavor. My mom had a habit of playing favorites with my younger sister, Jessica, while my dad remained blissfully oblivious to, well, everything. Was annoying? Absolutely. But unbearable? Not really. Then came Jessica's wedding, and suddenly, everything clicked. My family didn't just have favorites. They had a leading star. And spoiler alert, it wasn't me. A little context. Jessica is 25, and calling her spoiled would be a gross understatement. This is the same girl who, at 16, threw a full-blown tantrum because my parents got me a used car, and she decided she deserved a brand new one when she hit the same milestone. And of course she got it. She's the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, even when she was very, very wrong. Meanwhile, I was the older sibling expected to lead by example, which basically translated to do everything perfectly but get none of the credit. If I brought home an A-, my mom would shake her head and sigh, "Ryan, you can do better." Meanwhile, if Jessica barely scraped by with a C-, it was suddenly cause for celebration. Balloons, cake, the whole 9 yards. So, going into Jessica's wedding, I already knew I wasn't going to be the center of attention. Obviously, it was her big day, and I was more than happy to smile for the pictures, play the part of the supportive sibling, and get through the event without any unnecessary drama. What I wasn't prepared for, what I could have never predicted, was just how far my family would go to remind me exactly where I stood. The red flags started popping up early. First, I found out I wasn't part of the wedding party. Fine, no big deal. Not every sibling gets a spot in the lineup. But then I learned that Jessica had included her childhood best friend, a co-worker, and even her fiancé's cousin's girlfriend in the wedding party. That one stung a bit. Still, I brushed it off. Maybe she just wanted a different vibe. Then came the seating chart. I wasn't expecting to be at the head table. That was for the couple and their chosen entourage. But I figured at the very least, I'd be seated with my family. You know, the people I'd spent my entire life celebrating holidays with. Wrong. When I arrived at the venue and grabbed my place card, I immediately noticed something was off. My name wasn't listed anywhere near my parents, my aunts, or my cousins. Actually, my name wasn't on the seating chart at all. Confused, I flagged down a wedding planner and asked where I was supposed to sit. She glanced at the list, hesitated for half a second too long, then gave me the kind of forced smile that screamed, "Oh boy, this is awkward." "Oh, Ryan, you're, right here." She pointed. I turned my head and followed her finger. And that's when I saw it. My seat wasn't inside the grand ballroom, where chandeliers sparkled and elegantly set tables filled the space. No, my designated spot was outside the ballroom, in the hallway, near the coat rack. At first, I actually laughed. I thought it had to be some kind of mistake, maybe a last-minute mix-up with the seating arrangements. But no, that was my assigned place. A lonely little table by the entrance, just me and the faint scent of mothballs clinging to people's winter coats. I turned back to the wedding planner, still grinning like an idiot, because my brain simply refused to process what was happening. "You're joking, right?" She winced. "I'm really sorry, but this is where you've been assigned." Assigned, like a prisoner getting their cell block number. I wasn't even angry yet, just baffled. Was this some kind of prank? A bizarre wedding tradition I'd never heard of? I needed answers, and I knew exactly where to get them. I found Jessica near the bridal suite, glowing in her wedding day bliss, surrounded by her friends and our mom, who was busy fussing over her dress. She saw me approaching and plastered on the most insincere smile I'd ever seen. "Oh, hey, you made it." I held up my place card. "Yeah, quick question. Why is my seat not in the reception hall?" She blinked at me, then giggled. Actually giggled. "Oh, that. Yeah, we had to move some things around last minute." "Uh-huh." And somehow, I was the one who got bumped. To the hallway. Jessica gave a careless shrug, like it was no big deal. I mean, yeah, we had to prioritize close family at the main tables. I stared at her. "I'm close family." That's when my mom, who had been very pointedly pretending not to listen, decided to step in with her signature syrupy tone. "Now, Ryan, don't make a scene. It's Jessica's special day. I exhaled sharply. I'm not making a scene. I'm asking why I'm literally sitting with the Coates. And then Jessica, oh, sweet, oblivious Jessica, dropped the line that officially made this the worst wedding I've ever attended. Well, you're kind of not really immediate family anymore. I blinked at her, trying to decode the nonsense that had just come out of her mouth. Excuse me. She shrugged again, adjusting her veil, as if this conversation was a waste of her precious time. You moved out years ago. You don't come around much. And, you're not married or anything. It's just different now. I don't even know how to describe the emotion that settled in my chest at that moment. It wasn't just anger. It was something deeper, something colder. I wasn't immediate family anymore because I had the audacity to grow up, to have a life of my own, because I wasn't married. Before I could even form a response, another voice cut through the air. And that's when I saw her, Jessica's mother-in-law. I hadn't interacted with her much before, but the second she walked up, I could tell exactly what kind of person she was. The type who lived for drama. The kind who loved stirring the pot just to see what happened. She eyed me with a smirk. Oh, you're Ryan? I was wondering who that seat belonged to. I forced a tight-lipped smile. Yep, that's me. The sibling who apparently doesn't count. Jessica's mother-in-law chuckled, giving me a once-over with that kind of fake sympathy that was really just an insult in disguise. Well, you know how weddings go, she said, her voice dripping with amusement. Only the most important people get the best spots. And that's when it clicked. This wasn't just Jessica's doing. Her new mother-in-law was enjoying this. Suddenly, everything fell into place. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't some oversight in the seating plan. This was deliberate. And the second I understood that, something in me shifted. I wasn't just going to sit back and take it. And I sure as hell wasn't going to leave without making a point. My fingers tightened around the place card as I took a deep breath. All right, if that's the game they wanted to play, fine. But they forgot one crucial thing. I grew up with Jessica. I knew her secrets, the things she whispered behind closed doors. And most importantly, I knew how much she despised her new mother-in-law. Oh, she put on a sweet act for her. Smile, play nice. But behind the scenes, a completely different story. And right now, I had an audience. I turned to Jessica's mother-in-law, matching her phony sympathy with my own. You know, it's funny, I started keeping my tone light. Just the other day, Jessica was absolutely stressing about the seating chart. From the corner of my eye, I saw Jessica stiffen. Her mother-in-law raised a curious eyebrow. Oh, I nodded, casually swirling my drink. Yeah, she was worried. Kept saying she really didn't want certain people sitting too close to the head table. I let the words hang in the air before leaning in just slightly, like I was letting her in on some juicy little secret. Something about not wanting her wedding photos ruined by, oh, what was it again, Jessica? I turned to my sister with a thoughtful expression. Right, by someone's, tacky dress sense. Silence. Jessica's mother-in-law's smirk vanished instantly. Excuse me, she said, her voice sharp. Jessica's face went pale. Hey, Ryan. But I wasn't done. And remember how worried you were about the speeches? I continued, feigning innocence. You were really stressing about what certain people might say. I turned back to her mother-in-law, as if suddenly remembering. I believe her exact words were, if she gives a speech, I swear to God, I'll lose my mind. She's so embarrassing. She'll probably try to make the whole thing about herself. Jessica's mother-in-law's expression darkened. Jessica let out a strangled noise and grabbed my arm. Can I talk to you for a second? I pulled away, still playing dumb. Why? I thought we were having a family conversation. And since I'm apparently not immediate family, I figured I'd at least try to get involved somehow. Jessica's mother-in-law turned to her, her gaze narrowing. Is that true? Jessica let out a nervous laugh, shaking her head quickly. No, of course not. Ryan is just... Oh, and let's not forget the bachelorette party. I gasped, smacking my forehead. Silly me, how could I leave that out? I turned back to her mother-in-law with a knowing look. You know, the one where Jessica spent half the night complaining about you? Said she was literally counting down the days until she didn't have to fake being nice anymore. That she was only putting up with you, so she wouldn't start her marriage off with drama. That did it. That was the kill shot. Jessica's mother-in-law's mouth fell open. My mother, who had been standing awkwardly to the side, looked like she wanted to disappear. My dad, blissfully clueless up until now, actually took a step back, as if distancing himself from the train wreck. Jessica's bridesmaids exchanged shocked glances, whispering among themselves. Jessica? She looked like she was about to burst into flames. Her lips moved, but no words came out. And then her mother-in-law turned on her. You ungrateful little brat. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from smiling. Oh, this was about to get good. You think you can just use me? Her mother-in-law's voice was sharp, each word like a dagger. After everything I've done for you, the money I spent, the favors I pulled. She gestured wildly toward the ballroom, her manicured nails flashing under the chandelier light. And this whole time, you've been running your mouth behind my back. Jessica stammered. I didn't. Her mother-in-law turned to my parents, her fury shifting direction. You knew about this? You raised her to be this kind of snake. My mother's face twisted with panic. Of course not. Jessica would never. Oh, don't even try. I cut in, shaking my head. You absolutely knew. You just didn't care. I let out a fake sigh. I mean, you raised her to think she's the most important person in the world. Makes sense she'd start treating everyone else like trash, huh? My mother's face darkened. Ryan, stop it. Why? I asked, folding my arms. Because I'm making a scene? Funny how that only seems to matter when I'm the one speaking up. Didn't seem to be a problem when Jessica literally shoved me out of the reception. By now, the whole wedding was watching. The whispers had grown louder. Guests were openly staring, some even leaning in to catch more of the drama. And finally, the groom, who had been absent from this disaster, wandered over, looking bewildered. What's going on? His mother turned to him, livid. What's going on is that your wife is a backstabbing little brat who's been trash-talking my family for months. The groom blinked. Wait, what? His mother jabbed a finger toward Jessica, who looked like she wanted the earth to swallow her whole. She's been running her mouth about me this entire time, complaining about my dress, my speech, my very presence at this wedding, saying she's only tolerating me until she doesn't have to anymore. The groom slowly turned to Jessica, his jaw tightening. Did you actually say that? Jessica shook her head furiously. No, well, not like that. Her mother-in-law scoffed. Oh, not like that. So how exactly did you mean it? And just like that, the wedding turned into an all-out war zone. Jessica and her mother-in-law were in a full-blown argument. My mother desperately tried to play peacemaker, unsuccessfully. My dad just looked miserable, like a man questioning every life choice that led him here. The groom stood there, dazed, like someone had just smacked him over the head with a frying pan. And me? I stood back, sipping my champagne like I was watching the greatest Broadway performance of my life. And the best part? The absolute cherry on top? I wasn't done yet. Jessica, her voice climbing in pitch, turned to her new husband, practically shrieking. You believe her over me? She waved frantically in my direction. The groom, still processing, rubbed his forehead. I don't even know what to say, Vanessa. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, here we go. I muttered under my breath. Jessica let out a panicked laugh. It was taken out of context. I smirked. Out of context? All right, that classic excuse. I put on my best mocking voice. Oh no, I was just venting. I made air quotes. Oh no, I didn't mean it like that. Then my voice flattened. Give it up, Jessica. You got caught. And let's be real, if I hadn't said anything, you wouldn't have lost a wink of sleep over it. Vanessa, looking like she was about to explode, turned on my parents. And you two are just okay with this? My mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She was scrambling for something, anything, to say that might salvage the situation. We don't condone. Oh, give me a break. I cut in, waving a dismissive hand. You knew exactly how she felt, and you still let her play the part of the perfect daughter-in-law. I clicked my tongue. Guess keeping up appearances is the real family tradition. Jessica let out a furious shriek. You're ruining my wedding, Ryan. I made a show of glancing around. Oh, I'm ruining it? Wow, my bad. I must have forgotten that I was the one treating family like garbage and bad-mouthing the groom's mom behind her back. I turned to the guests. most of whom were now staring in stunned silence. What do you guys think? Who's actually at fault here? Some people quickly looked away, clearly not wanting to get involved. But one of Jessica's own bridesmaids leaned over and whispered something to the woman next to her. And that woman? She actually laughed. That only sent Jessica into another spiral. "You think this is funny?" she hissed, whipping around to glare at them. The bridesmaid fought back a smirk. "I mean, kinda." "Oh, now we're getting somewhere." Jessica's hands balled into fists, and for a second, I thought she was going to lunge at someone. But before she could completely lose it, I decided to wrap things up because, honestly, I was getting bored. I let out a dramatic sigh, shaking my head. Well, this has been just delightful. Truly, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But I think it's time for me to head out. Jessica threw up her hands. "Fine, go." I grinned. "Oh, don't worry. I will." My eyes drifted to the gift table, where a mountain of fancy-looking presents sat in a neat pile. And right there, near the front, was mine, the one I had spent actual time and money picking out. Jessica followed my gaze, and her face went pale. "Ryan." "No." Humming to myself, I strolled over and plucked my gift from the table. Jessica's jaw practically hit the floor. "Are you seriously taking it back?" I shot her a deadpan look. "Why would I leave it? I mean, apparently, I'm not real family, right?" I gasped dramatically, clutching my chest. Oh no, what if I accidentally contaminated it with my unworthy second-class germs? I hugged the box closer. Wouldn't want to taint your picture-perfect married life. Jessica's face turned an alarming shade of red. "You are such a child." I shrugged, tucking the box under one arm. "Maybe, but at least I'm not a fake, two-faced liar who plays sweet to people's faces while talking trash behind their backs." I turned to Vanessa, who was still fuming. "Hey, Vanessa, best of luck with this one. I give it a year." Vanessa actually laughed. Jessica let out a furious screech. And with that, I spun on my heel and made my way toward the exit. Behind me, the tension was so thick you could have cut it with a knife. Guests were whispering. The music had completely stopped. The whole vibe had gone from wedding celebration to full-blown disaster. And honestly, it was glorious. At the doorway, I paused for one last look at the train wreck behind me. Jessica was still locked in a heated argument with Vanessa. My parents looked like they wished they could disappear. The groom just stood there, staring into the abyss, probably rethinking every decision that had led him to this moment. And me? I shot a little wave, a smug smile creeping onto my lips. "Enjoy your perfect wedding, sis." Then I walked out. Didn't bother looking back. I already knew I'd done enough damage. And honestly, it was more satisfying than I ever could have imagined. The second those doors shut behind me, I took a deep breath and shifted the weight of the wedding gift under my arm. Petty? Probably. Satisfying? Oh, absolutely. The whole drive home, I let the night settle in, replaying every glorious detail. Jessica screeching, my mom's panic stammering, my dad's silence, Vanessa's fury. It was a masterpiece. And the best part? The fallout was only just beginning. And man, was I right. By the time I woke up the next morning, my phone was flooded. Calls, texts, voicemails. It was like my entire family had suddenly remembered I existed. 7 voicemails from my mom, each one bouncing between desperate pleading and full-blown rage. "Ryan, what were you thinking? You humiliated your sister on the most important day of her life. Call me back now. Ryan, honey, please. Let's just talk about this, okay? Come over. We can work this out." That was the most immature, selfish thing I have ever seen. I hope you're happy. I hope you enjoyed ruining your sister's wedding. Oh, Mom, I did. I really, really did. But Jessica's texts? Those were the real prize. We are done. You destroyed everything. I can't even look at my wedding photos because of you. You took back your gift. Are you kidding me? What kind of person does that? I hate you. I really, really hate you. I sipped my coffee, scrolling through each one with a grin. If Jessica thought a few angry texts were going to make me feel bad, she clearly didn't know me at all. But then, something unexpected. A text from Dad. Unlike my mom and sister, he wasn't throwing accusations or demanding an apology. His messages were short. Simple. "Call me when you have a moment." I hesitated before dialing his number. See, Dad wasn't the type to jump into family drama. Most of the time, he let Mom and Jessica take the lead while he stayed in the background. The fact that he was reaching out at all? Yeah, something was definitely up. He picked up on the second ring. Ryan. Dad. A long pause. He allowed a long sigh. Why would you do this? I scoffed. Not my fault. They were the ones who lit the fuse. Dad sighed again, and for a second, I braced myself for the inevitable lecture. But instead, he let out a quiet chuckle. Low. Almost exhausted. Yeah, they kinda did. That caught me off guard. I blinked. Wait, you actually agree with me? I didn't say that, he replied, but there was something different in his voice. It was softer, more resigned, but I saw how they treated you. Your mother, your sister. It wasn't right. I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. So what? You're telling me you're the only one not blaming me. There was a pause. Then, he said, not the only one. Turns out, my dramatic exit hadn't been the end of it. The wedding didn't just bounce back to normal after I left. Nope. The damage? Permanent. Vanessa had completely lost it. She tore into Jessica in front of everyone, demanding to know if what I said was true. And Jessica, being Jessica, panicked. Tried to backpedal. Tried to lie. But Vanessa? She wasn't buying it. Apparently, she'd already had her suspicions. My little revelation? It was just the final nail in the coffin. By the time the reception wrapped up, Vanessa had practically disowned Jessica. And the groom? Oh, he was livid. Turns out he had been under the impression that Jessica and his mom were close, that they had a great relationship. So finding out, in front of a crowd, that his new wife had been trash-talking his mother the whole time? Yeah, not exactly the fairy tale start to a marriage. According to Dad, they had a massive fight that night. And I don't mean just a heated argument. I mean a full-blown, maybe we should call this whole thing off type of fight. And my parents? They got caught right in the middle of it. Mom tried to smooth things over, but Vanessa wasn't having any of it. She straight up told her that she was responsible for raising a selfish, entitled brat, and that she didn't want Jessica anywhere near her family ever again. Complete. Total. Fallout. So what's the situation now? I asked, genuinely curious. Dad sighed again. Jessica is... He hesitated. Well, she's not taking it well. I roll my eyes. Wow. Shocking. She's blaming you for everything, he continued. Thinks that if you had just kept your mouth shut, none of this would have happened. I actually laughed. Of course she does. Because God forbid she actually take responsibility for her own actions. Dad was quiet for a moment. Then he said, she wants you to apologize. I choked on my coffee. I'm sorry, what? She thinks it's the only way to fix things, he explained. She's convinced that if you just take the blame, maybe Vanessa will forgive her, and everything will go back to normal. I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, that's not happening. I figured, Dad said. Then, in a lower voice, and honestly, I don't think you should. That made me pause. Wait, you're serious? I told you, Ryan. I saw what happened. And maybe, just maybe, it was about time someone called her out. I wasn't about to admit how much that meant to me. Instead, I cleared my throat. So what now? Dad let out another sigh. Your mom's still trying to fix things with Vanessa, but I don't think it's working. Vanessa is furious. The groom? He's barely speaking to Jessica. And Jessica? I asked, already knowing the answer. Dad hesitated. Well, she's a mess. Good. I didn't say it out loud, but I wasn't about to lie to myself, either. My sister had spent years treating me like I didn't matter. Like I wasn't enough. Like I didn't belong. And now, she was finally facing the consequences of her own actions. About damn time. Anyway, Dad continued, just thought you should know what's going on. Your mom will probably try calling you again. She can try, I said with a shrug. I'm not answering. Dad let out a short laugh. Can't say I blame you. And that was that. It's been a few weeks since the wedding, and honestly, I haven't spoken to Jessica since. She still refuses to take responsibility, still blames me for everything, still thinks I should be the one to fix it all. But I won't. I don't regret a single thing. If anything, I'm proud of it. And as for her marriage, well, let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't last. So what do you guys think? Was I too petty? Should I have just played along? Or did my sister get exactly what she deserved? Let me know. I could use a good laugh.